Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here with a new episode. And I like this one already because I learned something new. And I just want to make you guys part of it. Because I was watching a video this morning about a guy, an elder, who is sentenced to 120 years in prison. 120 years in prison. And he's around 60 years old now, I believe. So the rest of his life he would be spending his time in prison. And there was a headline, former elder sentenced to 120 years of prison because of child abuse. CSA, I will call it. And I think, yes, justice is done. But then I learned something new, because it was not a Jehovah's Witness. It was from another church. And it is the 2x2 church. So this episode we will call Similarities between JWs and the 2x2 church. It's also a cult, and it's maybe smaller than the JWs, but the funny thing is, it was for me to this day it was unknown. I didn't know about the 2x2 church. So I was digging around a little bit. We can make one similarity already. The government is sentencing former elders to prison because of the things they do with children. Jehovah's Witnesses get sentenced to prison now, and this man is also in the news now because of his role in assaulting children. And he's getting 120 years. For everything he get 12 years, and he did 10 things they proven. 120 years, we're happy. One less predator on the streets in our beautiful world. So I was digging around a little bit to see what is the 2x2 church. 2x2, also known as the truth and the way. It's an international home-based Christian movement. So that's not a similarity with the JWs, it's home-based. They operate from homes. They don't have kingdom halls and stuff like that. But the first sentence was already a flashback for me. 2x2s, also known as the truth. They also call their religion the truth. Do we know another religion who's calling themselves the truth? So now we have two religions who are claiming to be the truth. So JWs, you're not longer the only one who's calling that the truth. So are you in the right one? Good question to ask yourself. So the church has no official name among members. The church is mostly referred to as the truth, meetings, or the workers and friends, blah blah blah. They also use the word elders. So if you have a little bit more power in that religion, in that cult, first you are a friend, then you are just like the rank and files, then you can become an elder. And the teaching of the 2x2s became controversial within the church and led to the expulsion by church overseers. They have overseers. Hey, what other religion also uses overseers? The JWs. And it's has his origins in Ireland at the end of the 19th century. Who else founded a religion in the 9th century, all by his own? C.T. Russell. And this was a guy named William Irvine. And what was the thing about William Irvine? William Irvine was sent from Scotland to Ireland by Faith Mission. I think that's another group. He was promoted, but then in a few months he was already disillusionized. There was frictions about the teachings. He was intolerant about the cooperation. He didn't want to cooperate with other churches. And he became convinced that he received a special revelation that he referred to as the Alpha message. Do we know a guy who also received special revelations in the early days of the founding of the JWs? Russell also claimed those things. And the 2x2s says it all. That's the other similarity with the JW. 2x2, William Irvine thought that preaching, go into ministry, has to be done by two people. Who else sent people into the ministry 2x2? Jehovah's Witnesses. So I never knew about this religion, this cult, the 2x2s, and they are more secretive than the JWs, for sure. They are not as organized as the JWs are, for sure. But still, the way how the whole movement in the beginning was and is built up is the same as the JWs. It's just another, how do you call it, denomination? So they had also an early growth. Funny thing is, it was about 1914 that they had growth. So 2x2 preachers. So they were growing. As the ranks of the ministry increased, the church outreach expanded. It was all the way to Northern America, also Australia and Asia. So you have missionaries, they call it workers, we call it pioneers. And the funny thing is, Irvine also said you have no faith if you're not putting in the work. So no one was taking you serious in that cult, in that belief of the 2x2s, if you only had faith. You also have to do the work, the preaching. What other religion also is preaching about doing the work? Faith is not enough. That's the Jehovah's Witnesses. You can't believe in Jehovah without going to the meetings and going into the ministry. If you don't put in the work, there's no salvation for you. So they had also power struggles in that organization. William Irvine, the founder, was excommunicated by the overseers, who had a lot of power in that time. And it was also here in the Jehovah's Witnesses, the elders also have a lot of power. So he was sent away, other people came in his place, he took some people with him. We also saw that at the Jehovah's Witnesses, that people parted with the Jehovah's Witnesses and make their own religion based on that. So they had also a lot of power struggles in their religion, like Rutherford with Russell. Everything Russell has done, Rutherford changed it, and he was the only one who had divine intervention with God and stuff like that. Funny thing is, where is it? Rumors circulated about William Irvine, the founder of the 2x2, his comfortable lifestyle and supposed weakness for women. We all know Russell had also a weakness for women. Rutherford had also a weakness for women. They didn't even spend time with each other. They had a mistress, also said about Russell or Rutherford, and also the comfortable lifestyle. So what we see is the same thing. They also live a comfortable lifestyle, while the others, the rank and file or the workers in the 2x2 church, have to do it with the bare minimum. So it's also an history of power struggles. And we see it in also the JWs. There's always a power struggle within the organization. If it's on the level of elders, there's a power struggle. If you are on the level of overseers, there's also a power struggle. Who's the most dominant alpha male of the pack? And you see it also in the governing body, the power struggle. So they are in a lot of ways the same. And if I'm looking at the 2x2s, then the ministers or the workers, how they are called, give up all their possessions and go preach in pairs. The Bethelites also give up all their possessions. They sign a vow of poverty for God's sake. And they also go in pairs into the ministry. What I said is 2x2s are a little bit stricter because women are not allowed to cut their hair or wear jewelry or pants or stuff like that. And men are also expected to dress up for the meetings. Meetings or services of the 2x2s are held in homes. It's the same as the Jehovah's Witnesses. Church buildings they consider worldly, so they have also decorations, cross, stuff like that. It's all worldly. That's also with the Jehovah's Witnesses. But Jehovah's Witnesses have kingdom halls for their worship. Members of the 2x2 can only be saved by professing. So standing up during a convention. They also have conventions or regional summer gatherings. And that's the same with the Jehovah's Witnesses. You have to preach, you have to attend meetings, you have to profess your belief for being saved. They're also a little scared about music, about the internet, about novels. Some of them are forbidden. or highly regulated or frowned upon within the 2x2. And in the 2x2, the problem is there is no governing body like we have in the Jehovah's Witnesses. So it's more regionally based doctrine. But it's also a little bit of a similarity, not exactly, but a little bit of a similarity in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because it's also, while there is one guideline in the Jehovah's Witness religion, what elders have to follow, it depends on in which country and which place in the country you are. Elders in a rural environment are often taking other decisions than elders in a big city. I saw it in the Netherlands also, in the bigger city in the west, like Amsterdam, Den Haag, Rotterdam, whatever. They were more relaxed and they were not that strict. But on the other side of the country, there was a lot of strict Jehovah's Witness elders. And I always say it's also where you're coming from. Do you have a Catholic past as a Jehovah's Witness, or are you more stricter from childhood on in your education? So your background influence also how you are as an elder. Where you're coming from what household are you coming from, what was your reference point in life. And that's the same with the 2x2 church. So in different areas, different parts of the world, they make other decisions, stricter or more relaxed. And we see it also in the Jehovah's Witness religion. Because if I do something and I live in that place, I get disfellowshipped. But if I was living in my congregation, in another congregation in my own city, then I would get a slap on the wrist or whatever. And that's also how it is in practice of the Jehovah's Witnesses. You have a committee of elders who are strict, and in another place they are more relaxed and they are more loving to you and more compassionate about something. So it's just also who do you have in front of you with a judicial committee or whatever. There are more relaxed elders and there are elders who are sniffing blood and just want to punish you, whatever you're gonna say. So that's the same, that's also a similarity. Everyone who's not going to meetings or professing their religion by the 2x2s is going to hell. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are not believing in hell, but the similarity is if you are not putting in the work, you're also not gonna make it to paradise. Members of the 2x2 are supposed to marry within the church or to convert their spouse. Same similarity as the Jehovah's Witnesses. In the world but not of the world is their common phrase. It's the same as the Jehovah's Witnesses. We are living in this world, but we're not the world. By the 2x2s there are no written rules. There are at the Jehovah's Witnesses, so no similarity on that, because Jehovah's Witnesses have a lot of rules. Holidays are celebrated differently from family to family. Some forbid Halloween, others will put up Christmas lights. Depends on the family. And that's also a thing. In the Jehovah's Witnesses you see people this month who are gonna celebrate Christmas, but they don't call it Christmas, but they are having a meal together. I know certain families who put up a turkey on the table even, but they don't call it Christmas. because they don't hang up the lights and they don't have a tree, Christmas tree, whatever. But it's just everyone is free. There is a holiday. Everyone is buying the food in the supermarkets that belongs to Christmas. Everyone is eating with each other. Everyone is drinking wine, stuff like that. So you're just celebrating Christmas. But it depends on the family. And that's also a little bit of similarity in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because a lot of people do it just with their family. They keep their mouth shut. But there are similarities that it depends on what your conscience say to you. And also ex-members are lost out on salvation. And it depends on the family, but if you are having a strict community of the 2x2 church, they're also not speaking to you. Jehovah's Witnesses, same, but they take it a step further because they shun you. And what I researched about the 2x2 church is not that strict with the Jehovah's Witnesses, because they have some family ties, they are still intact, but the other ones of the church want nothing to do with you anymore because you left them and blah blah blah. So that's my recap on the 2x2 church. Maybe interesting for you guys to research it your own. It was unknown for me, but I found a lot of similarities. And what I also found as a similarity is workers who are preaching like pioneers, or how do you call those guys who go to other countries in the Jehovah's Witness religion, missionaries. They are staying at people's houses during their preaching time. And what we see is the same as in the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's the biggest similarity, that they are facilitating people who can spend time alone with children. Another similarity is with the Jehovah's Witnesses, the 2x2 church is also not going to the authorities. They are not going to the police. In this case, they didn't went to the police when they were concerned about this man, which I told you about, is now sentenced to 120 years in prison. So that's a big problem. They also keep those things a secret, just like the JWs. If you are sitting in your congregation, you don't know that the guy next to you is a convicted felon in the past, that he has problems with those kind of things. No family in the Jehovah's Witness organization or congregation is warned by the elders, hey, listen, we have a problem in this congregation, but there is someone who is convicted earlier in his past for CSA. I just want to give you a heads up. Just keep your children near you if you are in the congregation or on convention or whatever. But you don't know where you're dealing with in the Jehovah's Witness organization. And it's the same as the 2x2. And now the FBI is working on these guys. And the FBI is also working on the Jehovah's Witnesses. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for the 2x2 church, because now the can of worms is opening also, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they're facilitating, because people are spending time in homes for a certain amount of weeks or whatever. And now the information is getting out that from day one, little girls are getting assaulted by adult men in the 20s, 30s, whatever, for a longer period of time. And everybody is keeping their mouth shut, including the families, including the elders of the 2x2 church, including the overseers. And that's the same with the Jehovah's Witnesses. The elders have to call Bethel first. Why? Why don't you call the police first and then you inform Bethel that you inform the police, and then you give your full report to Bethel. No, you first have to tell Bethel, they're gonna make a decision and you have to follow that decision as an elder. And you are an accomplice of these crimes. You are an accomplice. So how do you sleep at night? So the biggest similarity is it's a paradise in those two cults, in 2x2 and the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a paradise for people with bad intentions. Because before they do something, they already know that police isn't get involved, that it will be swept under the rug, that you have to have more witnesses of something no other witnesses witness, because it's always alone. So you're putting your own people at risk on forehand. You put your people on risk because they already know that they have a free playing level. They can do almost everything they want without a consequence. That's the biggest similarity I found. Guys, let me know what you think of this video. If you ever heard of them, I didn't hear of them till today. So I wanted to share it with you guys, that there are more cults like the Jehovah's Witnesses with a lot of similarities. The way they think, the way they struggled with building the religion. Always a power struggle, that there are always people in such a kind of organization who have bad intentions and they get their space to do whatever they want. So that has to stop. So it's good that also now another cult is getting on the radar of the Supreme Court, and that guys like this are convicted to 120 years of prison. I'm cracking up a beer. I'm gonna celebrate this because it's one less criminal on the streets. Thank you for watching. See each other at the next episode.